Let's look at the D3 tree map. It's a great visualization. If you understand it from scratch, you can do some really cool things, like laying out these fruit emojis. We're building our tree map from scratch, so we'll make a new observable notebook that we can code in. The first thing we're going to do is fill it with some data. We're going to choose a few fruit and vegetable emojis so we can compare apples and oranges and have, a list of data points, each with a type, fruit or vegetable, as well as some made-up value. Let's take a quick look at the D3 tree map again. We want our data to look like the file attachment here. So what we're going to do is group our data first into categories with the type. Then we're going to set up a hierarchical data set, which is an object with multiple levels. Each level has a name and children, if any, and at the very bottom level, each child should have a value. These elements can be passed into the D3 hierarchy method, which can then be told how to sum up those values at the bottom and add them up to higher levels. That hierarchy can be passed into the Treemap method, which is what we're going to use to lay out the rectangles in our visualization. For the visualization, we'll create an SVG after we generate our tree from our tree map and our root. Then we're going to create a rectangle for every leaf of that tree using the selection join pattern. We're going to translate that rectangle to the x0 and y0 coordinates of the layout from the tree map, and then set the width and height and the fill accordingly following the tree map example. We're also going to set up a color scale so we can color our categories. Then we're going to create emoji text for each one of the values of the fruits. So if there's 10 apples, there'll be 10 apple emojis. And we want to lay them out in a grid. So we're going to calculate x and y coordinates using a little bit of math trickery with the modulo operator. This is something that confuses me every time, so I had to debug with the console. You can see the code in the notebook and play around with how that worked out at your own leisure. But we did get a grid going, and we can then tweak that layout, choose the size, font size, and the spacing for the emoji, play with the opacity, and tweak a few pixels here and there, get the size just right. And there we go. We have ourselves fruits and vegetables laid out nicely in a tree map.